to a church or knew a priest or hung out in a Catholic town, right? They're part of Jewish history. And that means that anyone nearby, is curious and can follow that rabbit trail all the way down to Jerusalem. Which is why, the Knights Templar and hospital were created, because people were so interested in going to Israel. And the infrastructure was not up to par, very clearly. Right, meaning, Kalev, I feel like you'd feel best if you were a tour guide, especially for Christians in Israel, going like, okay, don't think this, don't think that, think this. You feel sad.
I love Jews.
I do too, they're very crunchy.
Crunchy? What the hell? I just want to say...
Not to mention the pincers.
I just want to say I love Jews. I love Jews. I will protect Jews. This is my job. I love all people. And I love Jews. Because there's people saying different things.
What do you like about it? Why would you like
love Jewish? I just think such a rich history. They're such a consequential culture, so pivotal in.
I mean, only if your life has been touched by either Christianity or Islam.
Right, but regardless, I think I don't need to believe in star signs for someone to treat me like a Gemini sometimes, So I think regardless of whether
I'd like to clarify, because what did you say? Only if you've been tested by. What was that?
His concern is it was an interesting and relevant people, and I said, yeah, it's interesting and relevant if your life has been touched by Christianity or Islam. That's the majority of the planet, and that means quite simply they are all touched by Israel and the story of the Jews and King David and King Solomon, the two temples, and the war with Rome. All of them are participating. If they were touched by that, then yes, Israel is relevant and historically interesting. But the Asians, why the hell would Japan care, right?
No, but then I pushed back and I said, well, I don't need to believe in star signs for someone to treat me like a Gemini. So there is consequence. There's modern consequence to the tale of the Jews. So it's pivotal regardless if you believe it or not.
It could be interesting as such. It doesn't have to be interesting because it's relevant to the Far East. I mean, for a person from the Far East, people are interested in ancient Greek philosophy and mythology, and they're not Greeks. You understand that, Mixed-Ed? It's an interesting story.
Yes. I'm saying it's because their lives have been touched by the Greeks that had an empire, by the Romans that had an empire, by the Muslims that had an empire, by the Chinese that had an empire. Their interest follows the central historical narrative of how far back they can understand their origins.
But you're saying they can only be interested in this Jewish saga, this story?
No, I'm not saying they're only interested in that. I'm just saying you can't touch the world the way Christianity and Islam have done and not harbor an eternal interest in Jerusalem.
All right, I can give you that. Sounds reasonable. That's going back to the roots thing we were talking about.
I'm just saying practically, they raise children, right? They have temples. They have visitors. They have infrastructure. They have donations. They have TV shows, right? Meaning, how could it be that you could have Islam and Christianity in the world and not be focused on Jerusalem and its history?
Well, if you want to hear a pretty nasty, blunt rendition on this, have you heard of Christopher Hitchens?
Yes, I do know Christopher Hitchens, not personally.
And he said the other two monotheistic religions plagiarized from Judaism, and then just punished Judaism afterwards for taking their, the monotheism in that long history. I thought it was interesting that he would say that.
That somebody stole their monotheism?
That we got punished by Christianity and Islam for the reasons because they plagiarized our religion. I mean, we did them the favor of giving them monotheism and shot back at us. Now they're angry at us that we're not the right kind of monotheists for them. You know what I'm saying?
Well, listen, within the essence of Judaism is a fair amount of disdain for foreign ideologies. It's not the most like free speech framework, and it's wiping out from its own conception the idolatrous false beliefs of the locals or previous Jews, right? And they reckon with it. They even fall prey to other idolatries that pop up in interest, like from Lebanon.
I just think once again Jews should really know more about their Judaism, specifically if you're going to get on Clubhouse and argue with people about religion or politics or whatnot.
Jews and their Judaism, right?
Really, how many do you think can tell you what a Sadducee is?
They might. I bet you, if you ask a yeshivish kid what a tzedukah is, he'll tell you.
We're obviously not talking about the yeshiva people.
And he might know about the Karaites. I don't know if he'll know about the Karaites.
No, we're not talking about the yeshiva people. We're talking about people.
No, I'm saying if you wanted to explain what a tzedukah was, you would point to the Karaite community.
All right. No, yeah, I give you
Right?
that. What I'm saying is, Jews love to get out of that.
If I was talking to a child and I just wanted to point to a thing and say this is like that, I would point to the Karaites and say that's what a tzedukah is. Hey, do you know what the Gemara gives as the explanation for the Tzadok and Baisos cults, the foreign schools?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know that story?
Say that again.
The story of Tzadok and Baisos.
Oh, Sato, okay. No, tell me.
No, okay, so they made the Tzedukim and the Baisusim. That's why they got all lumped into being Sadducees in English. But Tzadok and Baisos, they left Judaism. They were like students in some rabbi's class. And they wanted to make a renegade cult. So they said, it won't work if we just aggrandize ourselves, just be like charismatic leaders. So they just copied the law code and then just negated all the rabbinic stuff, right? They said, we're the only rabbis, right? Just do whatever we say. We've got the 5 books. And then it became a cultic, alternative interpretation of the Torah. They watched the whole thing peter out. That was from the Hirushi's perspective. And they saw, they had their criticism of the guys that started it, Tzadok and Baisos.
That is absolutely a Hirushi perspective, and everyone.
Right, and also, but think about it this way. Think about it from a historical perspective. If the Perushim really are just like the scholarly rabbis studying in their special yeshiva in Yavna that gets to survive the destruction, if they're just doing that and there's different alternative Levitic movements of Tzedek and Baisos, they would have a story of whoever taught the kids that started it, right? The teachers would have a story.
Yeah, they would.
Right? And if they said Tzedek and Baisos were like this in school, and it's not that surprising that they knew all the law, but they wrote it differently, and they just took the 5 books. And yeah, if you look at the Karaites, you'll see the same thing of them just trying. Listen, they're doing honest scholarly work, trying to interpret the 5 books, plus the Nevi'im, right? They don't make a delineation. They view all of Nathan. Okay, and also that's to try and backdoor some Jesus stuff. Everyone wants to get those later prophets in.
Yeah.
But listen, the Jewish solution has been simple a long time ago. We closed our library. That was an era. We can have new prophetic writings if the state gets developed enough. We'll continue to bring everyone along.
Make sure to be me, George. Ethan, how are you, bro? How are you guys? Where are you from,
get social cues. You came off, interrupted people that were talking, bro. Honestly, man.
Okay, bro. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. What's going on here? Alpha, come on. Yeah, look at the guy in the chat. I want to bring everybody's attention to Israel. You lost. You lost, bastards. Fuck your mama, BB. Fuck off, BB. Your mouth stiff like shit. If we lost, why are you crying? That means you won. Why are you upset? Sickos.
Well, that depends on what he won, right, baby?
That's right. That's right. It does. The prize that he won. And I was enjoying Mixed and Ethan, and then this guy keeps coming up, interrupting out of nowhere. That was good.
He sounded like he was dragging the microphone in mud.
Yeah, it's a little kid dragging his toy. Yeah, how are you? Where are you?
Be careful, people. It's raining anti-Semites in here now.
I know. Wow. You gotta ask yourself, why are they so angry?
You know what's funny, BB? It was raining for about a month in Australia, and somebody asked me, how's the weather out there? I said, it's raining anti-Semites. She couldn't look.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Except, did that guy, Joe, was he a troll or was he genuine?
No clue.
Yeah.
Did you hear that, BB? Nobody has problem with Jews. It's only the Zionists.
Yeah, not the Jews. They hate the Zionists. I know. Tell me you're an anti-Semite without telling me you're an anti-Semite.
Look, me, I don't have a problem with Arabized Hindus. I just have a problem with Pakis.
That's percent.
He left. Oh my goodness. That hurt. Oh no, wait, he didn't leave. He changed his picture. Tell me, Meme, when are you going to liberate occupied West India and East India? Well, maybe not East India, but definitely West India. When are you going?
Oh, 60 days.
Yeah,
You have a 60-day limit.
So they don't have an army?
They do. It wouldn't be
about Venezuela.
possible.
CEO, this is talking about Venezuela and you're talking about Chicago.
I'm talking about what?
You're talking about Chicago, right?
No, I'm talking about overseas.
Oh, you're talking about Venezuela.
Yeah, the War Power Resolution of 1973 allows the president to send troops overseas for up to 60 days without congressional approval.
And he's trying to assassinate the president? Is that what I heard?
Oh, then that's a SEALs operation. That's different. What are you talking about? Are you talking about a war or a special operation?
No. Didn't you say there's a bounty on somebody's head? Did you read that, El? Or somebody ever read that? Isn't there a bounty on somebody's? Oh no, that was Parnas who said it. Okay, I don't know. I'm confused. Does that mean putting troops on the ground, you guys? I'm serious. I have no idea what that looks like.
I just re-listened to it, and it seems to me, well, I just re-listened to the way he put it, and what he said was there was a 50 million bounty on Maduro's head, and that he's trying to get the people of Venezuela to do an uprising against him. So I don't know what that means in terms of what he's doing, but that's his goal apparently there. I don't know, Ben, you're on the stage, you would know more about what's going on in Venezuela.
Oh, no. That doesn't mean I know. No, I heard about the bounty thing. And look, this is another of his distractions. So he doesn't have to be causing this. And we're not under attack. There's no, it's crazy talk. But yeah, he'll do it. He pretty much has gotten away with everything that he does, whether it's right or wrong, whether it's legal or not.
Well, the least vile of the three scenarios would be to rename the Department of Defense the Department of War, since it really is the Department of War at this point, in my opinion. At least that doesn't involve killing people.
The Department of War when there's no war. This is weird as hell.
You're right.
Yeah. I'm coming from a draft dodger. This is unreal. This is upside down.
We'll see in 2.5 hours. Stay tuned. I want to try to find out what time. I know I'm obsessed with this, but I'm very fixated on the presentation tomorrow on the Capitol steps by the victims of Epstein. I want to find out what time that's going to happen tomorrow, because that's going to be widely televised. And I really want to hear what they get to say. I just have a voice.
Playing cards explode on impact, and the power they pack is nothing short of terrifying.
They're not gonna say what Gasoline said, that's for sure.
Exactly.
I was once captive in Strucker's lab.
That's why I said she's, you know what, I'm telling you, you have to be a moron to get up there and say what she said, knowing that all these victims are still alive. Then they all gonna counter what you said, which is, be different if it's just like one person, it's my word against yours. But all these people, these women are still alive, and they're gonna come and tell the truth, and you just fucking lied again. You're gonna be known as the ultimate fucking liar. I'd be like, look, Trump was there. I didn't see nothing, but his motherfucking ass was there. I don't, because she probably wasn't in the room when this shit was happening, but I'm not gonna, no. Not gonna lie on these women again.
I had no intention of getting involved in their sibling rivalry.
Well, meanwhile, now that Congress is in session today, the first item to deal with is whether or not there's going to be government shutdown on September 30th. That's the number one item to deal with.
After 2 intense fights, Wolverine and I finally cleared up our misunderstanding. I led him to Strucker's lab. When Wolverine took out Deadpool and dropped down from a great height, the war came crashing down on me. Luckily, I used my staff to save him from the danger.
Well, they're holding a hearing with them today. So, and then tomorrow we'll see them on the Capitol steps, so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Creating a barrier around my mind. This means that as long as my powers are active, no one can spy on or...
It's gonna be interesting to see how Dems move, period, from this moment on, because they've been accused of either doing nothing or very lackluster. I mean, everywhere, everything. So I just want to know, is the game plan going to change? It's like, what can they do? They can do a lot, but let's see how it goes. If they plan on winning the midterms, they really have to be a little bit more, I don't know what, I need to be quiet because I'm not a, what do we need to do, CEO? It's always the Republicans that can tell us what we need to do.
He a Republican?
Well, while we're waiting for CEO, let me ask this question. Can he just decide that there's not going to be any mail-in voting? Because that's going to affect the midterms, if he's able to get that accomplished. I mean, how did they get to there? I mean, that can really hurt us. Does anybody know?
I have no idea. Can he do an executive order?
No, it's in the Constitution that each state is responsible for all voting. So there would have to be a constitutional amendment, or it would have to get up to the Supreme Court to interpret it. So he can't it'll be immediately challenged. And under any normal circumstances, there's no way it would be acceptable, except this is not normal circumstances. His Supreme Court is going to give him whatever he wants. But it is illegal. I mean, each state is responsible for how they do it. I think Oregon and Colorado have had just exclusively mail-in voting for for the last 2 or 3 elections. So that would be a huge change. And it's a grab. It's more rigging the election, which is what he's trying to do.
Ben, do you think that SCOTUS is going to overturn what they accomplished today on the LA being called illegal?
Yeah, it seems what they do is they don't usually completely overturn it and make a definitive ruling. What they'll do is they'll keep it sort of vague and allow it to continue. And yeah, I think that whatever it is that he's requesting, no matter how unconstitutional, they will make some wishy-washy ruling that will in effect give him what he wants, but actually would have to be adjudicated later on. So we can't count on the Supreme Court to be a guardrail. It's not.
You know, Ben, I was thinking the same thing. That ruling, the way I read it this morning, it doesn't do anything to protect people in LA. Nothing. All it did was give him license to keep going. Because it gave him an out.
Yeah, exactly.
And
they never actually do the whole thing. They just make it vague enough that he gets away with it.
Right. Just so you guys know what's going on here in LA, as you know, I'm boots on the ground. There's something going on in Westwood at the VA because they constructed a big white tent yesterday with a bunch of Sprinter vans, which is their MO. And they stacked the parking lot with those yesterday. So that's common knowledge. We all saw that. That they're staging for something. We don't know what. We have an idea. And now my boots on the ground are saying that they're going into Westwood, Little Tokyo, Chinatown. And then in the midst of all of this, a naked man decides to have a car chase on Sepulveda and Wilshire. So all that is, I'm like, okay, how many more distractions can you throw at them? So that's what's happening in LA this morning during rush hour traffic.
Well, why would they go into Westwood?
Because
well, that's where the federal building is. It is not really in Westwood where the college is. It's really outside of Westwood.
Hey, Ben.
Yeah.
Just so you know, the community colleges started back today.
Okay.
And they have an enormous immigrant population. Enormous.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true.
All right.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
let's keep this where it needs to be. Yes, they are going to UCLA. Yes, they are going to the hospital. Yes, I've been there when they have arrived. We were doing a flag salute for a fallen officer on the San Diego freeway. He was killed in the line of duty. And they were doing a salute for him on the 405 while ICE was raiding UCLA on the other side. You can't make this up.
That's crazy.
They took advantage of a bad situation, and I was smack in the middle of all of it.
They're actually on the campus?
Yes. They're in the hospital. They're in side.
People who don't know, UCLA is sort of like in a cul-de-sac. It's sort of in its own area that you once you're in it, you're
in
inside
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
So
Yes, you up in there. You up in
they've
there.
got them surrounded right now, where they've got this big tent is at the VA, as you know, at Wilshire, and they built the tent off of the Montana side. So it's on the back side, over by where those baseball fields used to be.
Yeah.
Which is right across the street from the cemetery.
Yeah.
Right?
That military thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So
The white tent, who put up the white tent was?
here, boots on the ground are saying we think that ICE did this yesterday. Because the vans are matching their description, even though they change up their tactics literally daily. But we've been able to trace, our network has been able to trace license plates and vehicles back to other states where these have been brought in from. So the word is that this is ICE staging. But until we can see a vest, it could be one of many different agencies. We don't know yet.
Well, I have a question. You said, and it makes sense, community colleges. So if you don't have papers, you can go to the